That is Craig. I am Shawn. This is Vinyl 4. Let's do this. We are round 10.
10
Can't
already,
wait.
man. It's quick. How'd we get to 10
Quick.
already?
Crazy. We had some tough choices last week. I will quickly run back through our Vinyl 4 from last week, round 9, and then
Cool.
we'll just jump right in.
Sweet.
Because I know people are just saying, just please get to it. We can't wait. All the anticipation has been building. So last week, the Vinyl 4, John Mayall with Eric Clapton, the album is Blues Breakers, Grateful Dead, American Beauty, The Clash, London Calling, and Derek and the Dominoes, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. So Eric Clapton, congratulations, twice in the same episode, the same round. Now, we just keep moving. That's what we do here on Vinyl 4.
We do.
Round 10. And I get to go first this week. I am so excited. I'm ready to roll.
You
Been
do,
researching this one.
All right. Matching you up at 409 comes in Sinead O'Connor's I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got versus 380, which is TLC Crazy Sexy Cool.
Well, for me, Sinead, oh, what a voice. What a talent. But I'm going to tell you, man, TLC, that album was so good. Digging on You, Red Light Special. Waterfalls isn't even one of my favorite songs on that record. Their version of If I Was Your Girlfriend, oh my gosh. I mean, that to me, because I was a big late 80s, early 90s, whatever you would call it, New Jack fan, Bobby Brown, Keith Sweat, Johnny Gill.
Yeah.
This 5 years later continued that. And I thought those ladies did it so well. Love this album. So it's TLC all day long for me.
Nice. All right. Nice surprise there. I like it. All right. What you got for me?
Yeah. Oh, this is fun. Number 98, Elvis Costello, This Year's Model versus Beach Boys, The Smile Sessions, which came in at 382. Ooh.
You could have stopped at Elvis Costello, This Year's Model, because sorry, that is a defining album for me in particular. I was a big Costello hits fan. I just wore out every greatest hits that came in and finally said, I'm tired of this. I'm an album guy. Stop denying yourself. So I was going to start with My Aim Is True. They didn't have it where I went, so I started with this album first. And it remains one of my favorite albums. Depends on what the day is, but this is a defining album for me. This is what made me truly fall in love with him, the Attractions. It is such a brilliant album. So Smile Sessions is great, but it pales in comparison, in my opinion, to Elvis Costello. So going with This Year's Model.
Totally agree. Those first 3 albums from Elvis Costello, just ridiculous. The talent and the songs that he had. All right, I'm ready.
All right.
This is.
Brace yourself. All right, number 5, the Beatles with Rubber Soul.
Stop right there.
Yeah. Well,
I already know.
Here's the thing, and it's hard to get past this because I'm not gonna lie. That's up there as one of my favorite Beatles albums, one of my favorite albums, but it goes up against 228, the Pixies, Doolittle. What say you?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know where I'm going with this, but I'll tell you that Doolittle came out in 1989, April of 89.
Yep.
I got into it in 89, but I still consider it sort of a 90s album for me. And it is one of the best. I was in an indie rock phase with Stone Roses, Teenage Fan Club, Replacements, Pixies, and Pixies right there with the Replacements as the best of the American indie rock bands. Gouge Away, Monkeys, Gone to Heaven, and on and on and on. What an incredible album. But I can't go against Rubber Soul. To me, Rubber Soul is a pinnacle achievement in music history. Every single song is incredible. So I'm going Rubber Soul all day. As much as it pains me, it's the matchup.
That's a tough one. All right. What you got?
All right. We have at number 350 Jay-Z, The Black Album versus 335 Graham Parker, Squeezing Out Sparks.
Mm. Sorry, Jay-Z, you stand no chance here. Like I said before, these are so easy for me. They really are. Graham Parker all the way. I've never really given Jay-Z a fair nod. I've been told by Kevin. Kevin's been doing this exploration of a list he found of the top hip-hop albums. Jay-Z's got a couple for sure, and the Black Album's up there, but I'm telling you guys, if you're Graham Parker, it's so perfect that he's being matched up with Elvis Costello. He's kind of like the American version of Elvis Costello. They really ran parallel, and I think he was overlooked. This was his breakout album. It's not my favorite, believe it or not, but it is his best, most produced. It's his album where he went for it. It just absolutely rules. Every song on this album is just a banger. I can't go away from Graham Parker in any way, so got to go Squeezing Out Sparks. And if I'm not mistaken, it's his only album on this list at 335. So got to go with Graham.
I love this album, and I'm with you. It's funny because it does kind of fall into that pub rock genre, if you will, the early Elvis Costello records, Graham Parker, Dave Edmunds, Brinsley Schwartz, and
Yep.
they were all, Nick Lowe was touching a lot of that stuff. I mean, I'm with you. It's funny that those two ended up on the same round. I love that album so much. All right, I'm ready.
Okay, you've got Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which came in at 354, versus D'Angelo, Voodoo, 482.
Yeah. Whew. Kanye is a genius. He's divisive. He's so many things. And then you have D'Angelo, who, rest in peace, just passed away. I'm a soul guy through and through. D'Angelo, for me, is the pick here because there are so many songs. I don't love everything on Voodoo, and I know for some that's blasphemous because I am such a big soul guy. But when he hits it right, to me, he hits it. I love the musicianship on this album. I love the drums and the bass on this record. It's so well recorded. So for me, it's an easy choice. It's D'Angelo.
Sweet.
All right. Oh man. 333. Richard and Linda Thompson, Shoot Out the Lights, versus, and here we go again with the Beach Boys, Today, which came in at 272.
Sorry, Beach Boys, I keep ousting you real quick, but you want to talk
Man.
about an underrated, overlooked, and not underrated. People that know it, overlooked album. Richard and Linda Thompson, Shoot Out the Lights, is such a beautiful, beautiful record. There's really not another record I can think of that sounds like it. It was groovy, it was post-punk, it was soul, a little bit of everything. I just don't think Richard Thompson gets enough love these days, and especially his stuff with Linda, and this is their masterpiece. It's bar none. Shoot Out the Lights.
I was hoping you were going to say that. I didn't know where you were going to go with that because I love Richard Thompson, and I make the mistake sometimes of just calling that record a Richard Thompson record
Oh,
because all due respect to Linda, she's got an amazing voice, and
yep.
and that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was the divorce album. Yes, it was. That was a divorce record, and there was a lot of tension there. And oh my gosh, that
You can
album was
hear it.
so great.
You can definitely
Yeah.
hear it. There's a conflict there, but somehow it melds really well together. I love that album, and I'll be honest, I didn't discover it until maybe 15 years ago. So I was late to the boat. A friend of mine had it on a audio disc. He's a big audiophile and had it on like a super audio CD. And oh my God, that was like one of the best nights just hanging out, discovering that album. An epiphany. Awesome.
Unbelievable guitar player, one of the greatest guitar players. Go for people who don't know Richard Thompson, go look at a top 100 list of guitar players. He's in there usually. He's
Mm-hmm.
back some
Yeah.
maybe in the 80s or 90s, but he is unreal. And he started as a folk guitar player, acoustic guitar, but his electric work is blistering. He is so good. And I love his voice. He's one of the best songwriters of the past 50 years. Love him. All right.
Okay, so this is your last matchup too. You've got Peter Wolf, Sleepless, that came in at 428 versus 159, which is Kiss Alive! Exclamation point.
I mean, how do you go against Kiss Alive, one of the great live records of all time, one of the great live bands in terms of their overall production, everything that they were doing, they were at a peak at that point. It's so hard to go against them. But Peter Wolf, I'm a very big fan of Peter Wolf. I love early Jay Giles.
Oh, yeah.
Then they kind of lost me when they got in the freeze frame era, even though those are great songs. And then he does this thing that Mark Knopfler did. He goes off on his own and he gets earthier and rootsier and has these great songs. I love this album. I actually like the one 4 years prior called Fool's Parade. That is, to me, his best album,
Yep.
but I really love Sleepless. Actually, his first record, Up to No Good, which is much more mainstream pop, is phenomenal. I love Peter Wolf. So I'm going Peter Wolf on this one.
That's a surprise. I love it. I love surprises.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you do. I knew I was going to surprise you with that. All right. Your last one up here, 454 EPMD, Strictly Business versus 188 Buffalo Springfield. And the album is Buffalo Springfield Again.
I mean, what can I say? Buffalo Springfield Again is not my pick. I am going all day EPMD Strictly Business. It's an underrated. I'm so happy that this is in the top 500. I know it came in at 454. Don't care. Glad it made it. It should be in there. I don't know if you know this, Shawn. This was one of the first CDs I ever bought.
I did not know that.
I bought that CD along with King's X's Gretchen Goes to Nebraska the same day. And I had a brand new stereo system, had one of those, you had your separate components and you had your big speakers, and I was super excited. I had a really nice JVC system. Was super excited to pump those out because prior to that it was all cassette, right? I still had my cassette deck, but I was all CD at this point. I was all in. And that album is banging. I mean, to me, this is one of the height of hip hop, in my opinion. There's some great stuff coming out now, great stuff, but this era to me, you start late Kumo D, you had LL Cool J, you had EPMD, you had A Tribe Called Quest, you had just all these amazing bands doing just a variety of stuff. This is really pre gangster rap, honestly. It is so awesome. And I'm glad it's on the list. So Strictly Business, bar none, my choice here. Speaking of surprises, I think that probably surprised you.
It did. I want to go back for a second. It did surprise me. Tell me you're not of a certain age, or what was it? I know you're of a certain age when you say JVC.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, that was such a big name in the music hi-fi listening, especially for guys like us growing up. That's the best we could afford.
Oh,
Was
absolutely.
probably JVC.
You had,
And it did just fine.
what did you have? Kenwood, JVC,
Pioneer.
Pioneer was those were the three big ones. And then you started
Yeah.
getting into some of the bigger Japanese, more niche Japanese brands a little bit later. But yeah, I was so excited to get this unit. I remember we used to go to an audio video store to buy these systems, and it was a big deal. So for me, that was huge. And that was the first CD I played in because I wanted to test the speakers. As much as I love King's X, I love that. That's my favorite King's X album and always will be. But this was the album I put in, and I go, okay, I'm happy with my purchase.
That was your audio tester. I love it.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have our 8. My 4 choices, your 4 choices. We have our redemption round. Again, for those first timers, this is where we can take one that was a cast off, one of the 8 that didn't win, and trade out one of ours for it. So I'm going to go back. I get to go first this week, but I'm going to first go back and go through the 8 cast offs.
Okay.
Sinead O'Connor, I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got. Beach Boys, The Smile Sessions. Pixies, Doolittle. Jay-Z, The Black Album. Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Beach Boys again with Today, Kiss Alive, and Buffalo Springfield again by Buffalo Springfield. So those are the 8. Now I'll go through my 4 winners.
Yep.
My 4 winners right now are TLC, Crazy Sexy Cool, Beatles, Rubber Soul, D'Angelo, Voodoo, and Peter Wolf, Sleepless. All right, I'm making a trade. I am going to, and you know exactly what I'm taking. And if I didn't take it, you were going to take it. So let's skip all the drama. I'm bringing in Pixies Doolittle because it's one of the greatest. It's one of the best indie rock albums ever. I love it so much.
Yep.
So that's in. Now I got to make a decision. TLC, D'Angelo, Peter Wolf, because I'm gonna go ahead and say Beatles aren't in the conversation being taken out yet.
Of course. Yeah, right.
Of course. So I am pulling out. I'm actually pulling out D'Angelo, and I think that may surprise some people, but I'm trading out D'Angelo for Pixies. So my new list is TLC, the Beatles, Pixies, and Peter Wolf. Now, let's go with your 4 winners. Right now, you have Elvis Costello, This Year's Model, Graham Parker, Squeezing Out Sparks, Richard and Linda Thompson, Shoot Out the Lights, and EPMD, Strictly Business.
Okay, so Shawn didn't look up when I was doing this, and for those of you watching on YouTube, you saw how pumped I got with the album that he omitted out. I freaking love Voodoo. I love D'Angelo so much. Bye-bye to EPMD. I love you, but you gone. You gone. Strictly Business is being discarded, and instead I will take Voodoo from D'Angelo. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so glad that I could contribute. Just like you did last week with Derek and the Dominoes. I was like, yes.
Yep.
It's all working out. All right. So now we have another tough round of decisions to make. And I'll put the pressure on myself first because I have Beatles, Rubber Soul. I have TLC, Crazy Sexy Cool. Then I have Pixies, Doolittle, and Peter Wolf, Sleepless. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and say Beatles, Rubber Soul, you're safe. Congratulations, Paul, Ringo, the boys. You're safe for a while, probably. I'll just say that.
Right.
Now I got to decide Pixies, Doolittle, TLC, Peter Wolf. First one out is I love the TLC record, but it doesn't stand up to me against Peter Wolf, Sleepless, or Pixies, Doolittle. And now I have 2 Boston acts, Pixies versus Peter Wolf. And it's actually pretty easy. It's Pixies for me. So my final 2 to contribute to this final 4.
And that was the initial matchup. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I knew this was, to me, the toughest battle was right up front. And I'm glad that you got that. Good for you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm super excited about those. Those we'll talk about it in our recap episode, a few out, but those will both have the potential to go a long way. All right. Over to you.
Okay. So first up, I have Elvis Costello's This Year's Model. I have Graham Parker, Squeezing Out Sparks. I have Richard and Linda Thompson, Shoot Out the Lights. And I have D'Angelo's Voodoo. Okay. I raved about it. I still love this album. I really do. I've had about 15 years with it, but I got to take Richard and Linda Thompson out. I'm sorry, guys. But of the 4, I haven't lived with you as long. So I got to go. That's not true. I have lived longer than with D'Angelo. But still, if you're matching you up with Voodoo, I'm sorry. Voodoo means more to me. So now let's save everyone the suspense, the drama. Elvis Costello's This Year's Model is bar none staying in, so that's safe. So it comes down between Graham Parker's Squeezing Out Sparks and D'Angelo's Voodoo. Man, this is hard. So I'll be honest with you, Shawn. If it was Graham Parker's Heat Treatment, I would go with Heat Treatment. That's my that
Mhm.
I love Heat Treatment. I love that album. Um, I'm going D'Angelo Voodoo.
I
I'm
love it.
telling you, man, that album is awesome, and it's not my favorite D'Angelo album, believe it or not.
Is that the Black Messiah?
Black Messiah is just an absolute. They're both masterpieces, man. I'm telling you, his first album, Brown Sugar, one of the most underrated, and he was not prolific by any stretch. He took his time with albums, and you can hear it. And Voodoo was the album that everybody really started to recognize. Okay, this guy's not a one-hit wonder. This guy's not this guy's got what it takes. Black Messiah. Uh, I'm sure it's on this list. I need to dive back to see if it's on the list. It should be, but Voodoo is only 482, so I don't know. That's really been his coup de grace. But telling you guys, give this guy a chance. Amazing, amazing songwriter. Had just this unique style. So many people have tried to emulate it over the years. I love the guy. So I'm going Elvis Costello, This Year's Model, and D'Angelo's Voodoo.
Diversity right there, man. You got some classic 60s with the Beatles. You got classic late 80s, early 90s Pixies. Got D'Angelo and and Elvis Costello. I was thinking for a second there. Okay, awesome. So there's our vinyl 4 for the week. Now, next week, looking ahead, Craig, it
Yes,
doesn't
sir.
get any easier, dude.
Nope.
It does not get any easier. So I'm gonna rattle off our matchups for
Okay.
next week for us to think about and for our listeners. Here we go. Round 11. Craig gets to go first. Bob Dylan, Modern Times at 204 versus Moby Play at 342. Then I go number 62, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. I think I've heard of that album.
Yeah.
Versus, I think I've listened to that once or twice in my life. Versus 459, Elton John, Tumbleweed Connection. We've talked about that on this show before. Then you jump in with Cream 205, which is Wheels of Fire, versus 397, Roxy Music, For Your Pleasure.
Mm.
Then I pick up at 381, Toots and the Maytals. Is it Maytals? Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Toots and the Maytals, Funky Kingston versus Curtis Mayfield at 72 with Superfly. Then you pick up, 422, Various Artists, The Best of the Girl Groups versus 434, George Harrison, All Things Must Pass. Then we have Velvet Underground, White Light, White Heat coming in at 294 versus 484, Gang of Four Entertainment. Then your last one is 322, Nick Drake, Pink Moon versus 370, The Smiths, Louder Than Bombs. And then finally, for me, 215, New York Dolls, self-titled New York Dolls versus 106, Ramones, Rocket to Russia. That's a funny matchup of the randomness there
Right.
that you have two of the greatest punk records, in punk being, in that late 70s, early 80s time, or late 70s in this case. That's funny that matched up.
New York as well, too.
Yeah, New York as well. Geez. Yeah, that's crazy. Man, that's going to be a fun matchup. Okay, last thing we're going to do. We skipped it last week, but we're going to do you got a couple. I know you always have a couple. You got a couple that are not in the top 500 that you want to talk about?
Yeah,
I've got two.
Let me go back to my list. You go first this time, so
Okay.
hit me up with what you got.
Yeah. This is an interesting one, and I thought about this after, because we had the Nuggets box set, or the Nuggets record, that was a couple of albums that was all about the late 60s garage rock that was just monumental, so influential. And it's weird because you and I both have talked about this, whether it's a live album or a best of or a compilation, sometimes it doesn't seem to match up quite as well with just a pure record. But I decided to do 2 compilations this week that are not in there that should be. The first one is from Rhino, and it's called Beg, Scream, and Shout, the big old box of 60s soul. It was 6 CDs. I don't even know how many songs. I forget now, 120. The packaging is incredible, first of all. They took only one song per artist of 60s soul, and they purposely did not select always the most popular song by that artist. So it's 100 or so different soul artists from the 60s. I bought this years ago, and it actually is the album that took me down the 60s soul path. That was what started it all for me. I was always a Motown fan and the Al Green, Marvin Gaye, but Tyrone Davis, Leon Haywood, on and on. It is the best, I guess you would call it, multi-artist compilation I've ever heard. And I still put it above all others. Love it so much. Rhino really set the stage here. They've done quite a few like this since, but to me, this is the best one. Second for me is actually another box set, and it's the compilation box set from one band, although they did add some stuff from some of the solo output at the time. But to me, it is the best collection of music from one band or artist ever, and that's Allman Brothers' Dreams. Grew up in the South, heard so many of those songs growing up, but there are so many songs on that box set that I'd never heard before. The Zeppelin box set was awesome when it came out.
Yep.
In the mid 90s, but to be honest, 80% of that I already knew. I'd heard it on the radio. That Allman Brothers one has so much stuff on there that was never mainstream, and it opened up my ears to Dickie Betts solo records, the stuff he did with Great Southern. And it's just such a phenomenal, the liner notes in it, it really set the standard for me. So both of those compilation box sets for me should be in the top 500.
Wow. A couple of comps. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So this first one was shocked it's not in there. Now, look, is it their self-titled debut album? No, it's not, but it's really, really close. And that's the Cars, Candy-O. Shocked. Very shocked it's not in there. One of the best opening tracks ever is called Let's Go. You know the song. Brilliant song. One of the catchiest songs out there. What better way to kick off an album with Let's Go? Metaphorically and audibly. It's incredible. Since I Held You, amazing. Candy-O, great song. And then Lust for Kicks. I'm telling you, they just had a knack for pop songs, and they put it in a modern context, that being new wave. They were one of the quintessential new wave bands. Candy-O is an absolute just pinnacle album. Love that album. And then the next one for me is personal. I know a lot of people love that first album, and it's fantastic. Nothing Shocking is amazing. I love that album, but I feel like Ritual de la Habitual doesn't get the fair shake that it should get. And I think really it's a choice of the single. The single is a banger. Been Caught Stealing. Everybody loves that song, but it's so uncharacteristic of what they did. It's like to release that as a single is almost like for Nothing Shocking releasing Standing in the Shower Thinking or something. It just didn't make sense as a single, but it took off, and so that's what people thought of that album. But I mean, the entire album is blistering, and then the tail end of that album is probably as pretty and as majestic. I think 3 Days is one of the most epic songs ever written. Seriously, from start to finish, it is a journey. It is a long song. It's worth every single second. And I love the back end of that album with And Then She Did and Classic Girl. It's so beautiful. Perry, that entire band was just such great songwriters, such masters of their craft. There's a reason why that band was followed by metal bands in the LA rock scene. Jane's Addiction was as influential as Motley Crue, all these other bands, because that was the future. This is what those bands were seeing is like, how do we do what they're doing with doing what we are currently doing? And it just wasn't possible. They just were so ahead of their time. It's a shame they didn't have more longevity. There's a lot of controversy and stuff going on with live shows that they've had recently, and there's a falling out. But don't let it fool you. Nothing shocking. And Ritual de la Habitual are must owns. They're just classics.
I agree. I'll never forget the first time I heard 3 Days. It's one of the, like you said, it's a journey. It's epic. It is, for anyone listening, if you've never heard that song before, go play that. But play it to where you can really soak it in.
Yeah.
It is one of the most amazing songs. I was working in a record store at the time when that came out. The first time I heard that was the same night that we were going to war in the Middle East, and that song played. And I think we did our first bombing that night. It was one of those nights that you think, okay, things will never be the same. And that song played, and I'll never forget that, because it was an uncertain time, because all these young people wondering, okay, going to get drafted. No one knew anything. And this song to me just, it seemed to sum up just the feeling of the time.
Yeah.
And to start an album off with a song called Stop, with the song Stop.
Stop is amazing.
I mean, they were just playing with people with all that.
I'm telling you too, with just the intro of the Spanish intro and then kicking into one of the most blistering songs. My first experience listening to 3 Days was a single, and it was the single, I think, for Stop. It's before the album was released, so they put a split, and the second side was 3 Days. And I was on the road. I was going to visit my girlfriend at the time. Her mom had she was doing a fair out in Helen. I had no idea where I was going, and I was so frustrated. This is before the days of GPS and before the days of Google Maps, all that stuff. So I literally had to know where, and I had no clue. And when that song came on, and like I said, it was a CD single, but when I threw that on, and then I realized, like, how is this thing 20 minutes? Holy crap. And not the song, but the whole thing was 20 minutes. And when I played that song, I got halfway through it and I was just kind of numb. And like you said, I had to stop. I had to literally pull over and go, what on earth am I listening to? Because it's just, there are literally like 3 or 4 different peak changes of that song, and it just keeps getting better, and then goes from heavy to really quiet and beautiful, and then it just builds back up and then just explodes. It is it's an exercise in what a band can do with a singular song. It truly is.
Yeah. Last comment on that. There are times I listen to records from the 60s and 70s and think, man, can you imagine what would have been like to put on, I don't know, a Led Zeppelin record for the first time and hear Stairway to Heaven or Whole Lot of Love or something like that. We had the opportunity. People now that would listen to that might feel the same way about this song when they hear it. Like, what was it like to just out of the blue play that song for the first time and hear it? And to me, it's a lot. It reminds me in some weird ways, The End by The Doors. It's just got that epic feeling to it, where you just you're hearing something really special. Oh man, I'm glad you brought that up. What a great album. I haven't listened to 3 Days in a long time. I need to go back and listen to it tonight. It's probably been 10 years since I've heard that song.
Oh my God. Yeah. Albums. Absolute. And that's another one too. This is a revinyl conversation, but for you vinyl heads, how have they not reissued this album? I mean, it is the copy that I bought from Don at Ella Guru, and I paid $90 for it. No, I paid $60 for it. He was selling it for like $95 on Discogs, and he cut me a deal, and I did not hesitate at $60, because that's how there's a reissue of a remake, a re-recording of that. I don't want that. I want the original.
No.
They haven't reissued the original. You can find a reissue of Nothing Shocking. It goes back to, I just don't understand why this album isn't seen on the same level, because to me, it's every bit as good.
I agree. Well, the good news is Apple Music does list it as an essential album, so that's good. Right next to Nothing Shocking.
Yep,
but
they understand.
Don't despair though, because even though Record Store Day hasn't done anything with that yet, you still get Randy Newman's Trouble in Paradise demos.
And
So,
and 16 versions of Aha's Take on Me.
oh yeah, and the 18th live album from fill in the blank of some band that I don't need another live album from. But hey, that's something that we do on the other podcast with Revinyl. We complain about Record Store Day. You can go back and listen just a couple of episodes back. But all right, this was great. I cannot wait for next week's round. I can't wait to see what we come up with.
Agreed.
Thanks everybody for listening.